Yeah!
I didn't even throw that in there. It was already preloaded. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another weekly review episode of GeekVerse podcast. I am one of your hosts, the Guitar, Kirkland Patzer.
I am the Eli Taylor Field.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we got The Last of Us Season 2 penultimate episode, if I'm not mistaken. And before we get into the juice of what is this show, just a couple of plugs to shout out. Andor is all finished completely, which is sad, but go check out those reviews. Those are on the feed. I feel like we have a movie review out, but it's probably been a while because I think Thunderbolts was the last review that we did, right, on the main feed. Wow, it's a little while ago. But we got Mission Impossible 8 coming out this week, which I'm super excited for. We got our Mission Impossible retros that are on the Patreon feeds right now. So go check out Patreon, where you get everything early, ad-free, exclusive. Where's our little banner? There it is. We got different tiers on there, and our highest tier, which is the number one supporters of the podcast. We got our Patreon producers: Aaron Braden, April of Darkness, Jack Grant, Sam, Superbad Mike, The Good God Loves Me 69, Jeremy Renner, Charlie Randell, Cocktail Clay. Wow, it's getting longer to say. I almost have to take a breath as we're going, which is fantastic. So shouts out to each and every one of you for supporting the show. And yeah, there's probably a couple other things to shout out. I got side quests always. I think Travis and Dylan are going to be talking about Doom Dark Ages this week, so if you're interested in that, go check that out. And I know we got a juicy weekly geek that's brewing right now. You and me, Taylor, are going to be tackling that at some point this week. So yeah, lots of good stuff. Keep your eyes on the feeds. Without further ado, let's get into it. So, Taylor Field, you were not with me. We were just talking offcast. I'm the only remaining member that's been on every single week. So, I feel like that doesn't often happen where there's just one person that's on there for a review. It's usually like one person might have to miss an episode or two, but this has been quite the rotation. And thank you for joining me this week. What did you think? Quick thoughts from last week? Because you were on 2 weeks ago, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm like alternating weeks.
Yeah, there you go. And then Travis is like 2-2 miss, 2-2. He does odd, and then I think we're still waiting for Dylan to join us one of this week. So we'll see if he catches up for the finale next week. But yeah, what did you think of last week's episode? And yeah, just lead that into this week's spoiler free, of course. And then we'll get
spoiler free. Yeah. Last week's episode was really, really good. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and it had lots of moments that I was just kind of like biting down on my tongue, gritting my teeth, biting my gums, just thinking this is
biting the gums.
Yeah. This is just some chaotic shit going on here. But yeah, it was getting more into the mess of Ellie's revenge to go and get justification or vindication or whatever you want to call it on Joel's death. And so she's out there with her lady friend. I didn't get to speak to this last week, obviously, because I wasn't here, but I'm glad to speak to it now. I'm sure lots of people are probably rioting and freaking out. I've seen a couple of people post about how, her friend is pregnant, and Ellie was like, I'm going to be a dad, and people are just pissed off about this. And you know what? Like, it doesn't matter, but it really doesn't matter in the fucking apocalypse, because there's no... how does it matter? Like, humanity is like almost at an end game here. The social construct of things, who gives a flying fuck? I mean, who gives a fuck about it now? But I just wanted to reiterate it. Like, it doesn't matter. I mean, if you're pissed off, it's the apocalypse. I mean, do you think the zombies, the clickers give a flying fuck about it? No, so you shouldn't either. So there's my defensive case. The scene of them, though, that I also wanted to highlight, her friend tagging along,
Dina, by the way.
Dina, thank you. I was stressing out there. I'm very stressed out for Dina to be there, especially now that she is pregnant, and for her to be going along and doing this thing with Ellie. She's made her case and point that she is doing this not just for Ellie. She's going with Ellie to help Ellie get that revenge, but she's also doing it for herself too, along with Ellie being a very important friend to her. So it just stresses me out because I don't want her to die because of Ellie's pain and revenge and all that. And I really thought something was going to happen. Again, I haven't played the games, so this is all uncharted territory for me. I really thought something was going to happen when they went into that building that they weren't supposed to go into. and there was just the one smart clicker, and then it's just a whole bunch. And like I was on the cusp of brick shitting because when they were all like up on the crates, and I was like, oh, there's like 4 or 5 of these fuckers. They turned around, there's like another 5. I was like, holy fuck, this is terrifying. And then, not Seth. Fuck, I want to call him Seth. What's his name? He shows up and saves them.
Oh,
Not
Jesse.
Seth. Thank you. I always want to call him Seth.
Seth
yeah,
should have gone. You know, I guess he's got an injury, so he's not that good out there. But
Yeah.
what did you say? He used to be an officer. I think
He used to be an
earlier in this
officer.
episode.
Yeah, he can't spell. Used to be an officer. And he likes Lego. He's a big fan of Lego bricks. We'll talk about that later. Yeah, so I just think when Jesse showed up, and he showed up with Tommy, but we didn't see Tommy yet, but we know Tommy is there, and they basically saved them. That was pretty good. And man, the sequence of just the breathable spores, and the spores that can kind of just go around, like they're in the air now, that just gave me the heebie-jeebies. And just seeing like Buddy on the wall exhaling like some bad asthma, just putting this shit out there, that's not what you want. That's a rough day. I'm wondering if they're like totally infected. Like, well, I know they're infected, but like, are they cognitively aware of what's going on? They're just sitting there exhaling, thinking like, oh, fuck,
Yeah.
how did I get into this position? Let me tell you, kind of a scenario.
I take it like a part of the ship, part of the crew type situation. You know, they're definitely
God.
not fully there, but they can just pop out and tell a story. Here and
What's the lesser of two evils in that case? Part of the ship, or
I
part of
would
the
say
spore?
part of the ship is better than this.
Because you have a chance of being freed, right?
And
If the-
like people come visit you, you know, people aren't coming down here chatting with you in the in the cellars of where the cordyceps are. I guess Ellie's the only one that could do that. But no, I would take part of the ship, part of the crew for sure.
Yeah, I would too. But yeah, getting into this episode, it was packed with the feels, and I watched it with Madison. Her heart just tears because there's just, you feel for some of these characters. One character in particular that we'll talk about, and yeah, it's just it's sad and it's heavy, and they do a really good job at just selling that emotion to the viewer. And there's so many things, and one actor in particular, he's just, if he was already top tier, top 10 before, and now I mean he's just like reaffirms that, goes into like the top crescendo tier. I don't know, he's amazing. He's an amazing actor. Not Seth, but
You talking about the guy
No.
from The Matrix, right? Is that who you're talking about?
the witch guy.
Oh, I'll pull his name up. I can't remember his name. You keep going.
Oh, I'm curious now. Oh, I know exactly who
What's
you're
his
talking
name?
about.
It's like Cipher.
Yeah,
Yeah, it is Cipher. Joe Pantoliano. There you go.
Ignorance is bliss. Yeah, yeah. So I think
Not
this
that
is
guy. We're not talking about that
No,
guy.
no, we're not. This was a really, really good episode. It was really good, really grounding, and yeah, it was a calm before the storm, even though there was a lot of emotion packed into it. And even though it covers a lot of ground, it doesn't feel rushed. And I feel like it really does its job to help us understand the dynamics and a lot more context to fill that backstory that we were maybe missing when we got into like episode 1. And I think if people watch that first episode and then episode 2 and how things kind of escalated, and people might think, oh, I was kind of missing a little bit of stuff, get to this episode and you're going to have a lot more information filled out. And I think it'll be a lot more, it puts a positive spin on this season in a immense way. So well done.
Nice. Yeah, well done. Yeah, I mean, this week we knew it was going to be a flashback episode just with how last week ended. And I was looking forward to the flashback. I was a little bit like, I feel like unsettled's too strong of a word, but I was perturbed, but maybe that it was coming in the penultimate. Just because it's like, oh, wow, like we're wrapping up the season here. And this is a lot of stuff I was looking forward to. And at the time, I was really thinking I personally would have wanted it like sprinkled throughout the whole season just so that we would get a little bit more Pedro inclusion, because he's just fantastic, especially he's just fantastic in general, but also as Joel Miller. I just really like that performance, and then to see him working with like across Bella, I think those two are just fantastic. So it makes sense that we just get in one episode, knowing that Travis and I were talking last week how supposedly he gets paid per episode, like that's how they do it. So that'd be an expensive sprinkling throughout if he's just here for 4 or 5 minutes per week. So it makes sense why we get it. And after watching it, I actually really like the way that it's done now. So I definitely am eating my words there. I think this was a really, really good way and probably the best way to do it, honestly, the flashback sequence, because minor spoilers. I already said this is a flashback episode, but this is like very heavy emotional also. You're kind of talking about that also. Like this one hits in the feels, I think, pretty much throughout, and it has a big reveal that I kind of knew what the reveal was, but to just finally get it on screen, it was super, super just emotional and heavy, and great performances between Pedro and Bella. I just think they both, honestly, like both of them, like 50%. I don't think there was really one better than the other. I think they both brought it, and they kind of had to, just because it's such a impactful, emotional. I'll say it. I guess minor spoiler. Like last time, these two are like talking to each other. It's of course it's flashback, but like still, it's just really, really heavy knowing with what we got now. And I like that it does come in the penultimate. Obviously, I would love to have more episodes. So to say it comes here, then we still have quite a few episodes left in the season. But I am happy with where it happened, just because the big event happens in episode 2, which I was really just torn on for so many different reasons. But you get like multiple episodes to kind of just stew on it, and then here we kind of jump back in. And I think if this would have happened closer to that episode 2, like let's say if this was episode 3 when you get all this flashback, obviously it still would have been really emotional and heavy, but it just wouldn't have hit the same way because we had so much time to kind of stew on it. That's at least my take on it. So yeah, I think this is a really, really stellar episode. It's mostly just character stuff, which is really, really well done. They go to some really beautiful places, and but yeah, like throughout it's just a really sad, dour episode, and definitely I feel like a lot more caught up, I think, with everything going forward. Like I don't feel too head scratching on certain characters. I don't want to say motivations, but just kind of what their thoughts are. But yeah, no, I think this is really, really good, and I'm kind of sad it's coming to an end so quickly here, just because it is so top tier of a show. It's really, really well made, but yeah, no, I think I'll leave it there for spoiler free. If you have anything else you want to mention here, forever hold your peace.
I'm holding that peace.
All right, we're gonna hold our pieces, and we'll be right back to break down this episode. Spoilers. We'll be right back. All right, we're back. Anywhere you want to jump to first? You're my guest today, so I'll let you take the honors.
Let me pick. I want to highlight how they chose to focus on time jumping, and we covered 4 years, I want to say, but each year, specifically the date of each year time jump was the birthday. I really like this because it shows the great happy times, and then it just takes those feels and it cuts them up and puts them back in your chest when things go sideways. I really like that, especially when they come off of just this crazy sequence of just the space shuttle and all of that, which was so beautiful and so fun.
Jurassic Park. They go to Jurassic Park.
yeah, that was amazing, and it just totally goes kerfuffle when he catches her in her room doing all that funky stuff, the drugs and the tattoos and all the craziness. And so then you see, okay, this is when he's helping her move into the garage, and it just spirals out after that. I wasn't expecting a 2-year time jump, and I wasn't even really sure how many years they were living in this colony for in Jackson. So now we know, I think it was like 5 now, at least around there.
Yeah, because she was 14 in the season 1, and then she was 19. So 5-year jump. I think they actually say that in this first episode of the season, if I remember correctly. I think it says 5 years later.
I'll take your word for it.
I just have that in my mind because everything does a 5-year jump now. I'll start with Endgame.
Oh yes, I can see it now. Yes, there is 5 years later. Yeah, because it was when the Fireflies were talking. I was like 5 years later.
Yeah, that's right.
But yeah, this adds so much context to what we were missing from that New Year's episode, where it's just okay, the relationship is really rocky. What's going on here? And I mean, people can probably counter and have problems with the way that they're telling the story and how they choose to do it. But I do like it. I like that we were kind of kept on edge about wondering, okay, what's really going on. Then we lost Joel, and now we're revisiting. And I've not always been a big fan of the flashback episode after the fact. I kind of like because now we know the fact that he is dead though. It changes that dynamic for me in this sense with the flashback because okay, he's dead. These scenes carry that much more weight, and they really hit home a lot more, especially because he's dead. So when you get to the end of it, where she is now back in Seattle and she's gonna be kicking ass and killing abbeys, uh, yeah, you can really feel like the passion behind her, especially because in one of those moments she was choosing to want to forgive Joel for what he had done, and it seemed like okay they could have turned things around. But anyways, I kind of I spread out my wings a little bit too much. The birthdays and all that flashbacks, yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think it's a good just kind of checkpoint to have for every year jump, just checking in on her birthday because it's an event for like no matter what's going on, it would make sense why Ellie and Joel are together on that event, especially starting in the beginning when it's just right off of essentially season one, like 1 year later. So they're still really close, and no like stewing hatred. And I liked how just sprinkled throughout the year jumps. We got a 2 year jump in between there, but it makes sense. I think like the how am I trying to say this? Like the way that it's eating away at Ellie, just like the question that maybe she thought she could just kind of look past, but then it's just always kind of nagging her, and it's something where like she I think she always believes that she knew like that was the case, but then she's kind of lying to herself. And then just the more time she has to stew on it, the more the more she analyzes it, the more it doesn't make sense, right? Like the way that Joel kind of phrased it with the Raiders and everything, just how everything went down at the end of season one. And that's something that in the episode 2 event, I felt like I was really just I wasn't expecting to lose Joel that early, and then I just didn't understand like the hatred towards like Joel from Ellie's perspective. So it was a lot of just head scratching and confusion. Whereas I feel like now I totally understand, and the way that it was laid out in this episode, her feelings back in that episode 2, or I guess before that episode 1, it makes sense now. So I think this is like perfect result that you kind of wanted from this flashback. So I think they definitely did a good job, and to contain it just in one episode, I think is another thumbs up because like there's a lot of filling in this episode, and I'm glad I'm not like, well, they still didn't answer this, towards those two characters. So I think they rounded out the kind of the loose threads around Joel and Ellie, which was important, and that's really what this episode was for. And I definitely think they achieved that. But yeah, no, I think it was really well done. Obviously, just like all the scenes of them together and just like enjoying each other's company, like especially in the first flashback. Like I was joking when they go to Jurassic Park, and like that's just so like wholesome. And of course, I'm just thinking about how Joel's brutally murdered, and that's how she saw him. And then up until this point, I'm just thinking how like they never actually got to say like a final goodbye because that's how it was revealed in that episode 2. So I'm just like basically choking up on all these like really heartfelt moments. And then I'm just gonna skip ahead here because I'm thinking about it right now. But to the point that it gets to not really modern day, but the most modern of the flashbacks when it is like the New Year's party, and then Seth's being Seth's being Seth, and then it gets to that moment when they see each other in the snow and they don't say anything, and I'm like, ugh, and they never get to see each other. And then she fucking takes a couple steps up on the deck, and they actually reveal that there's more to that scene, and that was like a holy shit gasp moment. Like I was totally surprised by that. I thought that was really really well done of just revealing to us that there was more to that sequence, and they did kind of talk about it. And obviously it's not like a kumbaya moment like I'm sorry for all the things, she's still really mad at him. But I think the line that really hit me hard was when she's like, but I can try to, like showing that she's not fully, or Joel's not fully dead to her. I just thought that was like such a gut punch because it's already super emotional just knowing everything that we know, but knowing that like deep down in her heart she knew that like they are still somewhat of a father-daughter, dynamic. And yeah, that one like really got to me. So I think that part of the episode was my favorite. Just kind of letting us, yeah, just filling us in that there was a little bit more to that. And I am a little bit happier knowing that Joel died, at least being able to like tell her the truth. And of course, they're both just totally selling the sequence. Both Bella and Joel, not Joel, Pedro and Bella are just getting super emotional and just yeah, no, that was like chef's kiss type of scene for me. But pretty much all the flashbacks, it was tough too because just them adventuring together, and every time Joel's like, oh, like we should do this more often. I'm like, man, like I just miss that dynamic of season 1 when like it was always those two together. So yeah, I was just eating all that up, but yeah, I covered a lot there, pretty much every flashback there, but mostly just the sequence. Yeah, when Joel's like fixing the guitar, drinking his coffee, and they chat at the end. How'd that work out for you? Were you surprised that we got a little bit more there? Did you think we were?
I was very surprised. I was not expecting that, but I loved it. Joel is such a handyman. I would love to like if I owned a home, I'd love to call him up to come and work on my property. He's so good, cutting up bones and making guitars and all that. Yeah, this setting and the application here of just establishing, okay, this is him taking into this father role quite well, and Ellie just taking in the fact that, oh, I'm your daughter kind of a thing, and it really, really works, and it was really heartwarming to see their relationship kind of unfolding here. And yeah, I really like that, and how it escalates from that, and you start to see the years kick in and things change. I was not expecting us to get Joel's perspective when we got up to the New Year's party and he dropped Seth and whatnot. Yeah, like I just think it has a lot of weight after everything that we've seen, on top of these flashbacks. Now adding a little bit more context to get to that point, like you had already mentioned, where she says like I can never forgive you this, but I want to try. It's just heavy, and I'm sad that got taken away from us. We never get to, but maybe these flashbacks are her way of processing it. And when she kills Abby, that's going to be her like, Joel, I forgive you, because she feels her purpose was taken away. She felt her purpose was to die so that she could save humanity. But man, Pedro Pascal, fuck, he's good when he's this like, I love you in a ways that you can't understand. I'm like, oh my god, I love you too, Pedro. He's just doing such a good job. And man, oh man, oh man, especially when he was in the astronaut ship and he's with Ellie and he's like, did I do good? And she's like, yeah. And he like looks back up and you just see like a little tear coming out the side of his eye as his eyes getting watery. I'm thinking, fuck, this man is incredible. God damn. Yeah.
Yeah. And then we got speaking of flashbacks, we got a young Joel and a young Tommy with their papa, the swordsman. Wasn't expecting to see him, the MCU swordsman, coming in here. And yeah, I did like this pretty much just because of how it led to that line at the end, like when he's on the porch and just saying, I'm gonna paraphrase the line because I'm gonna not remember it properly, but essentially just like, if you ever have kids your own, I hope you do better than how I did. So it was just like a powerful full circle moment of like, especially when his dad's telling him the story of like how terrible his dad was. And then it's just like this circle of Pedro's dad was like abusive, probably an alcoholic, and then I mean Joel never abused Ellie. I don't think so I guess he is doing better. And then we'll see if Ellie ever gets to be the papa to Dina's child. I don't know if that happens or not. We'll see.
Did you think that Joel's dad was gonna like pull a grandpa on him? Because when he's like, yeah,
just beat the shit out of him,
got out of the car and he broke my jaw, blood was everywhere, and it was quiet. I'm thinking, oh, what's he gonna do to Joel?
Yeah, I was expecting something like that to happen. So I guess credit to that father because he didn't end up doing it. I found it funny how, I mean, it is the 80s, so times were different, but he just like crushes this Budweiser with his son. He's like, I gotta get back on shift.
30-minute break. He's a cop, by the way.
Yeah, just crushing this beer, going back out there. I'm like, yeah, it's probably how it was back in the 80s, early 80s, Texas sheriff there. But no, I think that was, I don't know, it definitely not the best scene out of the bunch in this episode, but I still think it did a good enough job at just kind of adding a little bit of extra substance to the character of Joel, and then really it just amplified, I think, that line at the end when he's, because Joel just, he's seen that side of his own father, and then he obviously knows that he's not a perfect individual, and then he's just trying to be the best that he can for Ellie, and then just how it ends is obviously not how he would have wanted it to go, but because he is a very flawed character, right? And I think he makes a lot of not the best decisions, but he makes the best decisions to what he thinks is not necessarily right, but like I guess it is the right thing to do in a survival setting. I guess we can just kind of transition to the Eugene sequence with Cypher. I chuckled so hard just seeing him there, and like we probably got him in a trailer. Like I probably knew this actor was going to be in the show, but I feel like it's just this big Eugene thing that's been thrown around throughout this whole season. It's like, when are we gonna fucking see Eugene? And then as soon as they're on patrol, and then they talk about Adam and Eugene, I'm like, oh my god, Eugene is just, you're done, Norman. Like you're out, Norman. Like he is so done in this sequence. And then they go and find him, and it's just Cypher there, and I just think of the Matrix, and I'm just chuckling to myself. But yeah, Eugene got bit on the ribs, and pretty dark handling of the situation. It's not really how I thought it was. I thought it was just because like the way that it was talked about, I thought Eugene got bit maybe like around the town, and then everyone just like knew that he was infected, and then like it was just like a more collaborative effort amongst the town, like a council decision, like, hey, we got to just end Eugene here, because when Catherine O'Hara talks about that event in episode, I think it's episode 1, she's like, yeah, I know you had to do it. Like it just seemed like it was a lot more clear of a situation, whereas this, it's a lot more, I feel like nefarious or sinister is too extreme of a word to use, but it is kind of like there's some lies in there, and then of course Ellie just drops the big bomb to her there. But yeah, what do you think about the Eugene reveal here? And is Joel on the right? Are you siding with Ellie here? Are you ratting him out right in front of the widow? I think that's a pretty bold move to play. Obviously, Ellie was very emotional in that moment, so to an extent I understand, but
bold.
Still, fuck Ellie. Like, come on, like you just added
Joel
so much more
gave her that look.
pain to this grieving widow here. But again, she's emotional. She's only, what is she, 19? I think in that sequence.
19, yeah, first patrol. Everything that happened with Eugene, it's very unfortunate, and Joel, there are rules in place. Like bringing him back was not the right idea, and I'm assuming that's based on the rules that are established by Jackson and the council and everything like that. So it's a tricky situation, but I don't think Joel handled it the right way by any means. I don't think that, he definitely, I feel like he died in peace. I feel like that scene definitely sold me that he was able to see her and see his wife and pass in peace, but he could have had actual real satisfaction by seeing his wife in person, I guess, too. Like it could have gone a different way. I feel kind of on the side with Ellie, and it's a conflict of interests. I'm no expert, but when you're in these situations in the apocalypse and you got zombies and cordyceps and clickers, all that kind of stuff, you have to be careful because it's your humanity that will cost you lives. Could cost you your own life, whether or not you're saving just regular other people and they're raiders or something, or you're saving someone who's bit. I don't know. You got to be very careful. Joel he's changed a lot, as we've seen through the birthdays and everything, and I think it kind of helps remind you, okay, he's really changing. He's not like that guy that he was before, where he was pretty, cold-blooded killer kind of a thing before he met Ellie back in season 1. So here he is now, and then we're reminded that deep down he is still that broken character. Deep down he's still that Joel that we knew and were familiar with from that first season. Even after we've had all these scenes of him warming up to Ellie and doing all these very sweet special moments and things for her birthdays, he still is a part of that old self deep down inside of him. So it adds a lot more to, again, that line that we were talking about. When you have your own, just do a little bit better than I did. It knocks it out of the park. So all these different scenes, they all just build up to that climactic moment there with Ellie when he says that, and it just adds a lot more cushion behind it, a lot more ammunition. But yeah, I do feel bad for Eugene. Just wanted to see his wife. Pulls out a gun with no ammo. I mean, even I saw that thing was not loaded, and but he's in disarray. He got a nasty rib shot. Yeah, it's freaky. I feel like they're very lax walking through the woods, especially when you see a horse with a dead body dragging off the side. It's like, man, this is
Oh, like Ellie and Joel.
yeah. Like I
Yeah.
feel like you'd want to get to, like high ground or something. And I guess I only saw 2 clickers, so I guess maybe they were just caught really off guard when they were down there. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. It sucks that him going about lying, and I'm just rambling at this point, but in closing, lying to Gail and saying those things, like even my jaw dropped how he said those things. Like he did it himself. He wished you the best, ta. Man, this is crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It's like they like take the bag off. It's like if he shot himself, why'd he shoot himself 6 times?
Yeah.
No, it didn't go that way. I mean, like, what do you do in that situation though, right? Like telling she lost her husband. If you tell her the truth, it's obviously gonna make it way worse. Like at the end of the day, the result's the same. I don't know. I think I guess it's a moral dilemma question there of like what's more right. I definitely think there's rules in place for a reason, for the safety of Jackson, because worst case scenario, they get this guy to Jackson, and as you already laid out, the weakest link amongst this is just like the human connection, the human emotion of like maybe Gail really doesn't want to accept the fact that her husband has a death sentence here, and she, I don't know, gets close to him. He turns, he bites her. So another person tries to save her. Like it could just chain that way and domino effect, and really be like a worse event than it is. So I totally understand the rule that is in place. Like it is better for safety wise to just end him right then. Joel lies straight up to Ellie, which is a big no-no, especially just like abusing her trust like that. It's something that she's already kind of questioning because of the whole Firefly thing. So yeah, I think that by the time like Ellie rats him out in front of Gail, I think it's pretty fucked up, but at the same time, I understand why she does it, because Joel just like lied to her the exact same way that he lied to Ellie, and Ellie's understanding now that it's not the first time that's happened to a very big lie. So I think for like just as a show sake, like I thought that was a really well played sequence. I think, although personally I would have handled it differently. I think just for drama's sake, for entertainment wise, it was handled really well. But yeah, I then getting back to like the actual decision for Joel. I think it's kind of nice that he brings this guy to like he kind of Goodfellas him. Hey, it's like, you're gonna be a made man. I'm gonna take you to Gail. Enters the room. He's like, oh fuck, just get shot in the head. In that moment, like I feel like I would almost just want to not have a big lead up. Like just take me to a nice view and then just like put a bullet in my head, and then it's just like that. It's really quickly. I don't have time to like really understand the situation of just begging, to go see Gail, and it's just like
But
a long ripping off the Band-Aid. Oh yeah,
As soon as you see the beautiful sunrise, like fuck, like we're all
Yeah.
Eugene in that moment.
We're yeah, no, it is tough. I think the lie is what makes it so bad, especially the lie to Ellie and everything, and then yeah, he's like just lying straight up to the grieving Gail in that moment. So at the end of the day, it's a lose-lose situation. Like there's no like great way to go about it. But yeah, I understand. I think the hatred from Gail towards Joel, especially realizing that it was like he was just lying right to her face right then and there, and then. But yeah, it's a powerful sequence.
The tricky thing is that Joel's like, oh, he did it himself. And if you do it yourself, I think you're shooting yourself a certain way. But if she's like, I want to see him, look, like,
back of
why
the
is there a
head.
bullet hole in the back of his head?
Hunting
How do you get the
rifle
gun
to the
back
back of
there?
the head? Yeah.
Doesn't make any sense.
No, definitely not. And I imagine she would have seen it at some point. Maybe not. Maybe she doesn't want to see. But I digress. Let's take another ad break here, and then we'll jump back into it. I'll be right back. All right, we are now back. I feel like there was something else I had on that little goodbye sequence. yeah, I don't know. Do you have anything on the execution of Eugene?
Oh, no, I think we
Yeah.
covered it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, moving on. What else did we get here? We already talked about the ending, just the filling in the cracks flashback there. Gale, we already talked about. I feel like we covered a lot already, just because we're kind of jumping around a lot of flashbacks in this episode in particular. Oh, geez, yeah, we got what's his name? Seth's Legos.
Yes, Seth Legos. Yeah.
Seth's Legos. Got revealed Pedro. He got some coffee, like the night before he died, so that's kind of nice. He's a big coffee drinker. As a coffee drinker myself, I can respect that. What do you think he traded for it? He said you'd be. What does he say to Ellie? It's like you don't want to know what I had to trade to get that.
No. God, that
Doing
could
some
be
hand
anything.
jobs or
Bodily
something?
fluids. Yeah. I'm a very fertile man.
Oh, I guess like the space sequence. I thought that was pretty fun and touching, and I think Bella does such a good job at just like looking like a genuinely just happy and surprised like child in that moment, because I think this is her 15th birthday for this
For the
particular
ship?
flashback.
Yeah. I think
like
so.
when she sees the dinosaur land, and it just seems like everything that Pedro is like, or not Pedro, Joel is like giving to her as a gift in that moment is just like topping the thing after it. And I think that's something that they do a really good job in season 1. And I'm playing the first game right now and just getting a little bit of experience through like the younger Ellie, and I like that's a big trait that she has, is just being a child that like grew up in this apocalypse. Every time she sees something that's like new to her, she is just so like joyful and youthful and innocent in those sequences. And to get flashbacks to this, even though it is in season 2, she's a very fucked up individual. I don't think she'll ever quite be this innocent again. Just for how far she's gone in the vicious nature of her path to revenge for Abby and folk. But it was a nice little just glimpse of, oh man, this would be nice, eh? If they could have just been happy together. Obviously, the show would be a lot less entertaining, but we wouldn't even have a show if they just were happy for the rest of their days. But yeah, no, I like how they're able to capture that though.
Yeah, they did that with one scene in season 1, and I like those moments where Ellie's just mystified by seeing these different things from the world before. Like season 1 when they were walking and they just see a downed airplane, and Ellie's just like flabbergasted, like, "Oh, these things flew! Oh my gosh! Like, I wish I could have seen that or something." And yeah, it's those things that remind you, like, yeah, you kind of do take it for granted. Like we've been on planes multiple times, but the world just ends. It's like that's it. No more planes.
Yeah, no, absolutely. The other thing I was going to ask you about, because it's been a big question, I think, since last season, and something I never fully understood at the start of this season was like just Ellie's hatred towards Pedro. Obviously, in this episode, we get a lot of filling in the gaps on why that is. But the big question on like thinking of Tomb Raider now, one life to save a million or a billion, whatever the ratio is that he uses in that movie, but. Just that whole idea of like Joel saving Ellie, and then that probably fucks over humanity because they probably could have got a cure out of her. I'm convinced, and I was talking to Shay about this while we were watching it. I'm like, there's no guarantee that cure actually would have worked. Like people can keep saying that, and like the doctor, like he was a really good doctor, could have made the cure. It's like at the end of the day, even if it was modern time, and like we live in a day where modern medicine. They think they have a vaccine that's like 99%, and it's not always the case, especially prototype 1. I'm convinced that there's no guaranteed way that they for sure would have had a cure. And they could have just killed Ellie and then had no cure, and then we would have had no cure and no Ellie anymore. So that argument I'm not fully convinced on. I'm probably in the minority there, but yeah, I think there's for sure no guaranteed chance that they would have got a cure first try, especially because there's so many factors at play here. But I guess I put you in that situation, Taylor. Let's say your daughter gets kidnapped by these people that are going to make a vaccine to save the the human race from these clickers, and are you taking that risk? Even though, like I just stated, like there's no guaranteed chance that it could even work.
if it's
Are you
if it's
popping
my
off on that doctor?
if it's my blood daughter, I'm not doing it. Not
Yeah.
a chance.
You're
And in
headshotting that
this
doctor?
headshot. Oh yeah,
Oh,
yeah. He killed him. He did himself. That's what I'll say.
5 shots to the dick.
Yeah.
He did it himself.
um, in the context of Ellie, though, I've kind of
I guess yeah, it's different because it's like adoptive daughter, right? Even though
yeah, it's adopted daughter, but if he knew he knew the context of what was going to go down. He knew that they would carve her up. He shouldn't have brought her there. Just brought her there just to kill everyone else and take her back out. He made bad decisions on top of more bad decisions. So, in my opinion, to kill her to create a potential cure that might work out, I mean, then humanity is saved off of killing someone. And you do see here now that she was willingly wanting that, but Joel didn't know that at the time. I mean, if it would have been a very different conversation had this taken place back then, and Joel would have been like, okay, this is what she wants, then I'm gonna let that be because he loves her and he respects her and he wants, he puts keeping her safe priority number one because he loves her. But when it comes to developing like a cure, I mean, in real life, I know that there was what is the woman's name? There was a woman, I want to say Henrietta, I think, and they got her blood, and I believe that her blood was something that could reproduce on its own, like an immortal cell or something like that. And maybe
Jesus.
I'm butchering how I'm explaining this. Her cells were very unique, and it led to them creating several cures for diseases and treatments for like COVID-19 and polio and a whole bunch of other stuff.
Did
Thanks
she
to her-
live? Or did they murder her?
Joel went in there, it was too late. They got to her first.
She shot herself. I don't know what happened.
Yeah. But I think when you look at that as an example, then these scientists in the show probably looked at it like, yeah, if we cut her up, we take everything, then we have to, if we're killing her and taking everything, we have to have a way of developing a cure because we've got access to everything and not just like a little bit. Yeah, I don't know if that answers your question. I'd be reluctant to sacrifice anyone, though.
Yeah. No, it's tough. It's tough, right? I guess the argument is you gotta crack a couple eggs to make an omelet, and I guess the same thing with the cure. I mean, it's a great dilemma, I think, for just the overall story because it is like at the end of the day, if you're looking at it, it's just like analytics. It's like, okay, well, it's probably worth it to just sacrifice Ellie, especially if she's willing. Like that's her purpose, and it's a big heavy thing that she just has to carry for the rest of her life now, knowing that like because of this person who didn't even ask for my opinion, this is where we are now. We're living in this shitty existence of just the infected everywhere, and it just seems to be getting worse and worse as the years go on. But I think they do such a great job, especially in that scene on the porch when he's like telling her that on like it's like, yeah, I guess at the end of the day maybe could have got her opinion on that instead of playing so like in the shadows and the tricks and the lies and all that. But it's something that he's giving up, right? Like it's not just she's losing her life. He's losing this daughter like character that he already lost his daughter before, and then they went through all this bonding together all throughout season 1 to lead up to that moment to that he's just handing her off. And I think I'm with you. I don't think I could have. Well, I know I couldn't have. I think I'd be too selfish and weak like Joel is here. And just the way that Pedro's selling like the emotion in that scene, it's a conversation he never wanted to think he would have to have with her. And I liked how in this episode it's explained how like it took years to even bring that up from Ellie, and then obviously it's something that he never would have wanted to bring up or have to talk about again because it is a really hard thing that he has to live with for the rest of his life, right? Like he just murdered all these innocent people that were trying to make the world a better place. But yeah, no, I think it's they just did a great job at I think filling in the gaps on this whole event because we've already got Abby's flashback from, I think it was in episode 2. Was it in episode 2? Abby's flashback when we see her like seeing her dad or like talking to herself in the hallway. You don't want to go in there.
I think
he
it
shot
was
himself
because it was before they killed Joel off. I'm pretty sure. So
yeah, so episode 2. So I like where we are now. I just feel a lot more in the know of all the stuff that's been happening. But yeah, no, that really powerful scene though. I liked it a lot.
Yeah. I can tell you one thing though: if Seth was the one that was asked to escort Ellie to that hospital, oh, he was turning her in for sure.
It's a family place. Come on,
Yeah,
put an end
yeah.
to her. I just chuckled so hard as soon as we saw Seth again. She's like, he's just so like disgusted. It's family place. Just Shuts out to Seth there. I mean, I really don't have much else to say. Although the beautiful scene of Eugene looking off in the distance, I'm like, man, this is some pretty bad green screen here. For a show, I never think that. Yeah, I know. That's exactly what I thought of. Looking at my sons, I was waiting to see Odin there, waiting for them. But yeah, it was just for a show with like it looks phenomenal from start to finish. And that scene is just like, okay, yeah, it's a little green screeny here.
Yeah.
But whatever.
Last thing I have on my notes is we got to see how Ellie got her burned up arm. She just wanted to wear short sleeve shirts again, so her bite
Yeah, it was a
marks
nice
on her
moment.
wrist, she just was like, fuck it, and just nuked it. So there you go.
Yeah, with flame.
Mm-hmm.
And then kind of a little more explanation on her tattoo and the whole moth thing. Yeah, I don't know. Were you like satisfied by that explanation? It's just like dreams, moths, symbolism, and then like Joel asked Gail a little bit more about it, death, and then
Yeah.
I don't know. It was kind of a weird linking there. Maybe people that play the games, it works a little bit more for them, but for me, it was a little
Maybe.
bit of a jump.
It's I didn't need necessarily like the context and the stuff filled in. That was a few minutes of a scene that could have been without. Could
Yeah.
have used that just towards something else. But I mean, it is what it is. It's not like on the nose as like, who are you people? I'm alone. Ooh, Han Solo. Like it's not on the
yeah.
nose like that kind of like an origin moment. So we don't know where this is gonna lead to with the moths. But they made a point of making it bigger than it was, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, I think we covered everything I wanted to talk about. Any last? Oh, Joel singing the little Pearl Jam song. I thought that was really nice.
Yeah, and shout outs because that's the song Ellie was trying to sing last week. She's like, fuck this, and she couldn't do it. So that's a good callback.
Yeah, absolutely. Good emotional tie there. So yeah, if there's nothing else, we're
everything.
gonna end it here. We got our big finale next week, which I think Travis will be there. I'm low chance on Dylan showing up for the finale like Gandalf, looking to the east on the seventh day, but we'll be here nonetheless. Wrap up this season, and yeah, till then it should be a good time. So thanks for joining me, Taylor, and we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.